Everyone, welcome to the MTL podcast here. I'm your host, Lawrence, today. We're going to have a good show. Got the whole gang here. We're going to talk about the latest on the NFL draft, latest in the NBA playoffs, dabble a little bit in the XFL. Let's have a good show, babies. Let's get it. It's your host, Lawrence, here. First segment of the day, boys. Let's get into it. Full gang, full slate. All right, we got the NFL draft, round one, round two, and round three. Specifically, going to talk about round one, dabble into the next rounds. Some of us didn't get to see all of it last night. Busy guys. So we're going to talk about it today. And let's get started with, I'll move it over to whoever wants to take the floor first. Winners and losers of the NFL draft. Guys, give me your ideas. Who do you think hit it and who did not?
Go for it, Tevin.
All right. So, everybody should kind of know this, but the Philadelphia Eagles kind of fleeced everybody. Like low key, they ended up getting Jalen Carter when that wasn't supposed to happen. Chicago, technically, in my opinion, would have drafted Jalen Carter, and they would have kept the first pick had it not seemed like, at least from off the field standpoint, they weren't getting the guy that they were supposed to be getting. I think when Chicago moved out, Philadelphia knew they could get Jalen Carter. And from there, the draft really started because Houston wasn't taking him. And the Lions weren't taking him. And I think the Lions probably would have made that move too because I saw him being like their next Ndamukong Suh. But I guess for some reason they just didn't want that, even though they want kneecap biters. I don't really get that. But nevertheless, I think Philly definitely from getting not only Jalen Carter, but then sitting there and still being able to get Nolan Smith. It's not just that they're like getting Georgia players, it's that they're getting good players at the picks that they're getting them. So for me, I think Philadelphia definitely is at least one of the winners. I'm hesitant about saying this, but I do like what the Jets did from a standpoint of you got a quarterback and you didn't have to waste the first pick. Then they ended up adding to the defense by getting Will McDonald-Ivy. I like that, but they didn't need a tackle. So it's like they won until also took an L at the same time. And then for me, I did like what Seattle did. Seattle definitely showed that they were trying to play this mind game with everybody. That did not work. Nobody really thought that they were going to get a quarterback that high. And we all saw Will Levis dropping. So I guess everybody already figured, everybody in the consensus was like, we're not taking Will Levis. So get who you need at the top. So they got Devon Witherspoon, tough guy. He's definitely going to bring like that LOB mindset. And then getting Jackson Smith-Njigba with the 20th pick. I think they also low-key fleeced with that one too, because I think he, at least from the standpoint, I don't know if you've seen Steve Smith, he had a little podcast too, and he talks about, like, he broke down the wide receivers, and Jackson Smith-Njigba was like one of his top guys. Crisp route runner, knows what he's doing, and he's athletic. You can't, like, getting him at 20, you can't not, like, say that's a dub. So
Can we watch Steve Smith around here?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He was a dog. So if he's a dog and he's calling you a dog, I'm not going to be mad at that. So I think those are at least the two solid ones, and just maybe.
It's an interesting move by Seattle. I said on the podcast they were going to get Devin Witherspoon. But I think it's an interesting move getting the wide receiver in the first round still. I think it adds a lot of depth, but it also makes you wonder, like, when they're going to move off Tyler Lockett now.
I think that was the move. That makes a lot of sense.
When's Tyler Lockett walking out? When they going to let him walk?
I think if they get another, like, I don't think Jackson Smith-Njigba in their plans is a number 2 yet. If they go into the season and he ends up being a star, they move off Lockett and probably draft another wide receiver next year. That would be their best bet because that 3 wide receiver, you got to have 3 now. Like there's no more two or just have a one and then some guys. You need like three dogs. So I think from their standpoint, give him a year, let him see what he does in this offense, and then we'll go out and get another guy because there's going to be another guy next year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. So, Markyll, what are your thoughts on that draft?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Tevin with Seattle. I feel like, they're my first winner of the draft. Wasn't expecting Witherspoon. As if you guys saw the last episode, I was expecting Jalen Carter, only because I thought, Pete Carroll could kind of rein him in, kind of show him the ropes of the NFL. He's a good head coach, accomplished a lot. But Witherspoon, nonetheless, great defensive back, probably the best one in the draft. Kind of like Lauren said last episode, kind of another reimagining of the Legion of Boom. So love that pick for them. And then JSN at 20 is a steal. Like JSN should have went easily top 15 pick. Mm-hmm. Some people had him as high as 10. So a steal of the draft in my eyes, other than Nolan Smith. But yeah, I think it does bring some questions. Like you said, if he performs well, hey, do you let Lockett go and kind of go with JSN and DK going forward? We'll see. But I do love them trying to kind of maximize Geno's potential, give him some more weapons, some more people to throw to. And like Tevin said, you definitely need 3 decent receivers in the NFL nowadays if you really want to compete at the highest level, because the talent just keeps getting better. So you just need to keep improving at every position, especially the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. The Eagles, have to agree with Tevin again. Getting Jalen Carter over the Bears is just amazing. And the fact that he has other Georgia teammates that he's, comfortable around and knows very well, I think will help solve any of the off the field questions that people had. So good pick for the Eagles. And for whatever reason, Nolan Smith fell in their lap. I don't know how or why, but that's a good pickup for them. Can replace Fletcher Cox, eventually, good edge rusher. Nothing but, solid A for me going to the Eagles. And a little bias here, but I'm going to go with my boys, the Bengals.
They did make moves, no lie.
Getting Miles Murphy at 28 when he was projected to go higher is, a good pick for the value. Yeah. I feel like we needed to go defense, whether that was defensive back, safety, or pass rushing. We needed to go defense. Michael Mayer was there for the taking. And would I like to see Michael Mayer go to the Bengals? Yes, because we have a need for tight end. But, as they say, in the AFC, all these good quarterbacks, you need to be able to put them on the ground. So Miles Murphy, good pickup. Might not be an impact player, this season, but moving forward, I think he's a great pickup addition.
I agree. I think from most of these teams that ended up going like defense, you do realize at some point you're going to have to stop somebody. And even though like the Super Bowl was high scoring this year with the Chiefs and the Eagles, it was like if the Eagles could have made one stop, they have that Super Bowl in hand. And if the Chiefs if the Chiefs end up losing that Super Bowl, then it's the same thing for them. If we can get one stop. But they did get those stops because of Steve Spagnuolo, and they had some guys like Nick Bolton who can play. And at the end of the day, you need guys who can play on defense. Even if you don't think it's as important, even if you don't think like it's going to end up eventually winning you the chip, you do need some guys on there. Like if you want to just run out a whole bunch of wide receivers, a whole bunch of running backs, and think you're just going to win by throwing the ball all over the place, it's just not going to work. Even the Chiefs like got to the Super Bowl because of some defensive plays. So at the end of it, like defense is always going to win championships. And I think the teams that realize that, Seattle, Philadelphia, I can't say Detroit because of what they did at the top. I don't know, but like certain teams like that, like Pittsburgh, even like you're going to have to add to that defense, and you're going to have to, or at least be able to like make it so that your offense is good enough and they complement your defense. You're going to have a good running game. I got to get you off on third downs on defense. If I have a good passing game and we get up like 14, go get the dogs. Go sit my boys after him. The quarterback on the other side, he's going down. So you just got to play it and make sure that you're complimenting. And also, like I said, you got to have some dogs over there. Just period.
I'm going to chime
Yeah.
in on that. Bradbury didn't hold in the Super Bowl. That's just a little biasy as an ex-Panther. So, I mean, I'll chime in here about some winners and losers of what I got. I'm surprised neither one of you guys talked about it yet. The Falcons and their pickup of Bijan Robinson, and how unnecessary and unneeded really to the team it was when they got so many other holes to fill.
Yeah.
And you're going to go running back to try to fix and plug holes, which doesn't really make sense. You need a whole rework on defense. You need a quarterback. You kind of need a wide receiver. You kind of need all these different things. Your running back last year did pretty good. You went running back. That one didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, another one for me, the Cowboys pickup. They got a D tackle. I mean, the guy is pretty good, but if you look at what the Cowboys need, they kind of need an edge rusher. And what I was telling my friend the other day at the bar when we were hanging out was the Cowboys need a safety and a linebacker. It would be great if they can get a linebacker that can do edge rushing, so that way Micah Parsons can fall back into the seventh man position and actually play, go on coverage every once in a while, having to stop rushing the passer. And that way you can use Micah Parsons on third down to rush the passer, not on first, second, and third down, and then throw him out there every once in a while on a pass coverage. Because you got Van Der Esch back there, but man gets hurt 20%, 30% of the season, so he's useless for multiple games. So Sean Lee is useless multiple games. So I mean, let's be realistic here. They needed a linebacker, and they needed, in my opinion, they needed a wide receiver. They needed a safety. They need all these different things. Well, let's go D tackle because Jerry Jones says we need D tackle, and in reality, you really don't. D tackle is not the most important position on most teams, anyways. D tackle is mainly just to plug some holes so the running game doesn't chew you up. So I thought the Cowboys said, I don't understand that first pick, or their first round pick. I also wrote down Commanders because that's the corner that they picked up. I mean, there was better corners on the board.
Yeah, they sold.
There was better corners on the board. Like Bill Belichick was laughing because Christian Gonzalez they picked him right after him. Christian Gonzalez was a better corner than I don't even remember the guy's name. It's Flowers, right?
Emmanuel
Forbes.
Yeah,
Forbes.
yeah. I mean, he's okay. He's good. Yeah, he's good. But I think Christian Gonzalez was a better pick, and Bill Belichick's sitting there laughing his ass off because he's sitting right. But he traded back. He's watching the Commanders pick, and they picked the corner the exact opposite of what they should have went.
Belichick still knows who's going to sell. He knows it's good for it.
I mean, I wrote down some winners here. I actually like the Ravens pickup and Zay Flowers. I mean, if you look in the past couple of seasons, like the thing that keeps getting burnt on the Ravens is just corners. Marcus Peters is not what he used to be anymore. He's a little older. So maybe you can finally make Marcus Peters like halfway through the season play the number 2, or he gets to play still number 1, but I don't know. He won't have to play the number 1 wide receiver every single snap, that kind of thing. I mean, cause you're asking a lot of the guy who's getting older to play against the other team's number 1. And a lot of times these teams' number 1s are a lot younger nowadays. And so it's a lot to ask for the guy every single play. I wrote down Carolina, obviously, a little biasy there, but Bryce Young, my boy, we're going to win some games this year. And then lastly, I actually have the Lions down as a winner. I know you guys are talking a little trash, but if you look at what they needed a running back because they got rid of the running back. He went to the Saints.
Jamal Williams.
Williams went to the Saints. And so you're looking at that running back room. It's not a bad room, but you got DeAndre Swift in there. But let's face it, like Van Der Esch, Swift is always hurt. So he's a liability, but he's good when he's out there. But if you look at the Alabama running back, he's never hurt. And that's what they need. They need a running back out there every single play. I think they might have, sold a little bit. They could have probably switched their picks and picked them up later in the draft because I think they just saw the Falcons go running back early. And maybe in their heads they were thinking, all right, running backs are going to go off the table real quick. So let's get our guy that we knew that can carry our team a little bit. But Jared Goff doesn't have to do all the work. I think it also allows Jared Goff to be a little bit more advanced in the play calling because, I mean, he doesn't have to throw the ball 40 times a game now. Like, he can go back to doing what he was doing last year and throwing the ball 30 and 40 if he needs to. So I think that was a good pick. And then Jack Campbell, I mean, I'm talking about him last podcast, but Jack Campbell's an absolute beast.
He's a dog.
He's an absolute beast at Iowa. And he changed that whole entire defense. And Iowa had like one of the worst offenses ever in NCAA ever. Or I mean ever. But they still kept winning games and they kept staying in games because their defense was so good. And Jack Campbell was a part of that. And you know that Lions coach just knows that's part of the reason. And now Hutchinson gets a little friend in the backfield back there, a little linebacker, probably because Jack Campbell's probably going to be MLB.
Yeah, he
so
play Mike.
He's going to be the Mike, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Lions actually did a really good job getting 2 holes filled in the first round of great talent. But yeah, I mean, I look back at it like, yeah, you guys were right with the Eagles being winners. I think we all thought the Eagles were winners. I guess another team I thought was a loser were kind of the Chargers. I don't know why they went where they did. I don't think they really needed a receiver. So
yeah,
I was kind of questioning that one. I don't know why when you have Mike Williams and you have, well, I guess it does make sense now that I'm thinking about it because let's face it, Keenan Allen's a liability. He plays about 20% of the season. Not even hurt 20% of the time. He just plays 20% of the season nowadays. He's always hurt.
I think they both are at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it, but they definitely need a defensive talent on the Chargers. Because, I mean, I get it. Derwin James is a beast. But let's face it. You're going against the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders. Look at their quarterbacks they have. I mean, the worst quarterback in that division is either Russell Wilson or Jimmy G. I mean, you need some talent on that defensive side.
Yeah.
Now see, go ahead, Markyll. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Lawrence, with the Lions. I feel like the Lions sold.
I think they sold too.
They sold on Gibbs, and I get what you're saying. How they saw, Bijan go so high, so they're thinking, oh, there's gonna be a running backs.
But my problem is let that happen. They let that. They were at 6, and they gave it away to the Cardinals, who moved back. And they moved back up. So it was your fault that you let Bijan get away, and then you overdrafted it. Like, not to step on your toes, Markyll, but they overdrafted because you let Bijan get away. That's just...
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you want a running back, it was there for the pickings. You trade back, and then you get Gibbs, who was going to be there at 20. Didn't they have 20? He was going to be there at 20. No one else needed a running back. So I don't understand that pick. They sold. And I don't understand how now you have 3 running backs who do the same thing, catch out the backfield. None of them really can run between the tackles that well. Not saying they can't. They can't do it well. It just doesn't make sense for me. And I understand Swift is probably going to be let go after the season. But I don't understand why you pay David Montgomery 3 years for 3 years, $12 million, and then you have to pay this kid for 4 years, whatever the salary goes for first-round picks. So it doesn't really make sense for me.
In my defense, David Montgomery I think he's going to help out in other facets of the offense.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be more special teams related and like punt returning and kick returning. Because let's face it, David Montgomery's getting older. And if you look at the Bears, he was kind of declining towards the end of that season. He started the season really hot. He did. But towards the end of the season, it wasn't all there anymore. And you can tell. That's because they're overusing him, obviously, because they can't throw the ball because their quarterback is a little. I don't know why they would ever trade back and give up the chance to get Lord and Savior Bryce Young, but that's here and there because I would have taken Bryce Young over Justin Fields Fields any day. But that's neither here nor there. But they overused David Montgomery at the Bears, and he started declining towards the end of the season. He was getting hurt all the time. But I think the running back move was simply we're going to get a guy. He's completely always healthy. He's going to be our mainstay. David Montgomery's going to play majority of the snaps at the beginning of the season. They're going to start getting it to the younger guy. But David Montgomery's there for leadership. We need guys in that team who are going to help the coach, because the coach is a defensive guy. So he needs offensive guys to take reign so he can handle his defense. So I think David Montgomery is just there to like keep the morale of that offense going, come in there and do big plays for him. But he's definitely going to be used for punt returning and kick returning. That's going to be like his big thing because they need something like that. They don't have anything like that.
Well, they would have had Jameson Williams.
Yeah, but you know how that went. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, but I feel like at pick 20, Gibbs would have been there. I feel like it would have been smarter to just use your pick for defense at 12.
Don't be sleeping on Jack Campbell.
Yeah, they might as well have just took him at 12, they might as well have took him at 12 and then waited for Gibbs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tevin. I think it was a little bit of a reach. I understand why you kind of do need Gibbs because, like Lawrence said, you got to have someone who's always fresh. Right. Gibbs never got hurt during college.
And he got a little Kamara in him, so, I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense. But to be fair, Gibbs wasn't the focal point of the Alabama offense. It was your Lord and Savior, Bryce Young. So, it's a mixed bag, but for me, they're definitely losers.
I'd say piggyback, like the Falcons, like I get it, but I'm with you, Law. Like I'm not sold that Bijan likes the situation that he's going to, and I'm not sure that like the Falcons necessarily liked. I feel like it was more about like we need to sell tickets, and we think offense is going to like continue on selling us tickets, than making sure that we've done our due diligence and our homework on getting a good enough defensive player. Because while you got a blue chip day one starter, that's cool. But everybody was saying you don't need to take a running back in the top 10 if Philadelphia was going to do it. Now a team that is not where Philadelphia is, and you do not have the luxury of making this pick because you like made a significant amount of moves, you made the playoffs, you went to the Super Bowl, you got this pick because you are not that good. You don't need to be taking luxury players when you're not that good. You need to be shopping on the bargain basement. You need to be getting dudes who are hungry, who are going to come in here and change culture. Arthur Smith, I get it, but he worked with Derrick Henry in Tennessee, and that's cute and that's fine, but you wasn't the head coach, one. Derrick Henry was already on the staff or already on the team, too. And 3, you're not in a position as a team, if you're trying to build a whole team, to pick a player who at day one, he's going to start losing value. He's like the Ferrari, right? As soon as you drive that bad boy off the lot, bang, that money start going down, down, down. And yeah, I think he's going to be in the conversation offensive rookie of the year just because they're going to feed him. But that's what happens why we have this conversation of running backs. You can't take them in the top 10. These teams overuse the guy because you're not in a position to be taking a running back that high. Happened with the Cowboys. It's happened with the Giants. It's going to happen with the Falcons. They're going to overuse him. And then they're going to say he's got too many touches by the time his second contract come up. And they're probably going to win. They went 7-10 last year. At best, I've seen them taking one more game because you don't have a defense. If you think you're going to if you think last year with Tampa Bay being able to get into the playoffs at like 8-9 or something like that with a losing record, if you think that's going to happen again this year, you're not paying attention to what is like in front of you. The Panthers are not trash, even with the rookie quarterback who has the intangibles to lead a team. They can make a playoff run. Then you got the Saints. They got a quarterback. That was their biggest problem last year. They can make a playoff run. And Tampa Bay, I actually think they're a loser because I like Kalaji Kancey. I really do like him. But for where they picked him at and then not taking like a quarterback or I think more of a cornerstone piece, like if your offensive line was that bad, especially had injuries last year, might as well get on the offensive line. I get Kancey. He's probably going to be a very good player for them, especially for Todd Bowles' system. But I think they could have done something else or moved back and get Kancey because he was falling down the board. But
I'll chime in and agree with you on that. I was surprised in this. I'll bring up the second round a little bit right here. I was surprised in the second round when Hendon Hooker is still there, and the Buccaneers didn't take him, and the Lions. I'll talk about the Lions again. The Lions were like, "Yo, Hendon Hooker's still here."
All right,
Jared. All right, Jared. Teach the boy what you know, because we're not going to keep you forever. And Hendon Hooker can freaking throw bombs. And
Now
and
that
you
was
know,
an excellent pick. That was
and
an excellent
Amon
pick.
Ra is going to be catching those bombs. To be realistic, maybe Jameson Williams can do it too when he starts gambling a little bit. But we
After
all
his
got
6
that
games.
itch. We all got that itch in us.
You know what I'm
Myself
saying? He was
included.
just trying to get his bag up. That's it. That's
Um,
it.
but
Did,
another one that surprised me was the fact that people let the Steelers fleece everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
the
just gonna
Steelers
say
has
this.
been working.
What the heck, dude? Joey Porter Jr. fell to the second round,
Mm-hmm.
and
They
now he
got
gets to go.
Project Jones, and they got the tight end.
They got an offensive tackle to make sure homeboy what is
Kenny
it
Pickett.
Pickett can stay healthy. So that was a great first round pick. Make sure our boy stays healthy. And then we'll just pray. We'll just pray. Joey Porter falls to us. They start seeing all these other teams just pass on him, picking other corners who are not as good as him, and they're going, "Are these guys idiots? Are these guys idiots?" They're seeing the Bengals pick. They're like, "Yeah, they needed a defensive end. They really could have hurt us by taking Joey Porter. Don't
No,
matter. Don't matter."
we're not going to take Mr. Joy Porter Senior's son. We not after what happened with Fontes and AB in 2015. We're not taking. We don't want no parts of any Porters. Not over here.
Yeah.
I think the script was in. Everybody was like, "Let him go to Pittsburgh." It was like when Mac Jones, what was it, year or two ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Everybody knew, like, all right, let New England pick that man.
Yeah.
New England pick that man. Also a loser for me, right fast, was the doggone Packers. Like,
Yeah.
I like Lucas Van Ness. He's going to fit, but man, can they just do something that makes like a little bit more sense? Can they just do something that excites people? You know what I mean? Like,
why do you think Rodgers wanted out?
Right, exactly. Like, you just lost your quarterback, and you move up your offensive line again. Like, if you're going to get big uglies, get big uglies. You know what I'm saying? Invest in it. You got offensive line sitting there. You got, maybe you could go cornerback, like, what is his name? Zaire Alexander. He's not getting any younger. You like to invest in your secondary. Do something. Even wide receiver. Like, I know they don't like wide receiver, but like them. Pick one. Just pick one. Just try. If the Ravens pick a wide receiver, you can try. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. The Packers, I get it. They needed a defense. They needed more defensive help. They like investing in that side of the ball. But I don't know. Lucas Van Ness, I think, was just a tad bit of a reach, but I can't be mad at it. He's going to play a good role in that defense. He's not no like Clay Matthews or anything like that, but I think he fits what they're trying to do. But he's going to, in my opinion, he has to be, because he's pretty much like the Rodgers pick. So you pretty much have to be at least a 10-year solid player for them. And I don't know if he's going to be that, but that's kind of the expectation I have, because we traded our franchise quarterback. We didn't get another quarterback. You're basically the pick that we have because of that trade. So he's got to produce, and that's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. I think they kind of made up for that pick by taking Musgrave in the second, but like you said, they probably should have gave Jordan Love some more weapons. Yeah, they gave him Musgrave, but could they have used another receiver? I think so. I guess going back to the Falcons, I just don't understand that. To me, they're losers. I guess how you can, if you're looking at it from their perspective, they're probably thinking, hey, the division last year was for the taking. If we can do running back by committee, our rookie running back ran for 1,000 yards. Bijan easily could get us another 1,000 yards in his rookie season. Maybe they try to, do that duo and see how they go. I mean, Bijan probably gets them another game, like you said, Tevin, but they got to understand that the division's probably not for the taking anymore. I feel like there's two clear-cut winners in that division now, Carolina and the Saints, and then the Falcons are just trailing behind. We'll see going forward, but definitely a loser in my eyes. And yeah, I mean, what did you guys think about as far as the top five? Me and Lawrence already did our predictions last episode, but did you guys, or Tevin, let me ask you this. Did you expect the order of the picks to go down, how it went down.
I thought somebody was going to sell their soul for Will Levis. I did. I thought the Colts had it written on the wall. Them taking Anthony Richardson. I'm not mad at the pick. I like the player. I don't like the situation he's going to because I used to be an Eagle fan. I used to actually like really be a fan, but due to some circumstances about the league, I'm not. I'm more of like I'm going to watch from a whole holistic perspective, but I still do follow primarily what the Eagles do.
Yeah.
And I saw that Shane Steichen goes, and I saw that Jonathan Gannon goes. So Gannon goes to the Cardinals. Okay. And then Steichen goes to the Colts. Okay. Steichen made a little bit more sense as a head coach candidate than Gannon did. To me, Gannon is just like, he's just one of those guys. That's why I kept telling you guys, like, I thought they would take cornerback. I was pretty surprised that they took a tackle because the Cardinals do need offensive line help. They needed it for a while. Shout out Cliff Kingsbury. But I was kind of surprised. I thought they wanted to move back and get a cornerback, and that was Gannon because that's Gannon's like MO.
Yeah.
But for Steichen and the Colts to get Anthony Richardson at 4, like I said, I like the pick, but people are making too much of like he's a quarterback maker. Like he's not that. These guys like Jalen Hurts, Herbert, they can play. You know what I mean? And the system is not his system. Like Sirianni, that was his system. I can give you Herbert more because what's the coach's name? They're the head coach for the Chargers.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Exactly.
Can't tell you off the top of my head.
Exactly, but
He's on
like
the
a
hot seat. I
defensive
can tell you
guy.
that.
Yeah, he's a defensive guy, so I can see more of like when he was, helping, or I guess he was quarterback coach, OC, whatever he was. Like I can see him having more of an impact on that than to be like, well, he made Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen, that offense is Sirianni's offense. He literally gave him play calling duties after Sirianni had it, and it's still Sirianni's like system. He's not a defensive coach. So
Brandon
to me,
Staley.
I think they're doing too much by saying he's going to, a quarterback maker. But if he can get the best out of Anthony Richardson, then that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm pretty sure that's what the Colts fans are hoping for. But I just don't think that they're like, he's not going to Sean McVay. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to like a doggone what's the man that made the West Coast offense?
Can't tell you off the top of my head.
You know who made the West Coast offense? Like he's not going there. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to like a genius coach. So that's what I'm a little concerned about. I like what the Texans did though. I do. Phil Simms, he seems to be not in on because everybody apparently listens to Phil Simms. He's the guy.
Yeah.
It was Don Carell. He's the one that made the West Coast offense.
Yeah, and so like he's not going to like one of these like just mind blowing head coaches to me, in my opinion. But I like the Richardson pick in that perspective. I saw him. I didn't see him going top 5, but he had top 5 talent, so it's justified for the Texans to go and get their quarterback in Stroud, and then come back and get Will Anderson. Even though Phil Simms don't like him, he's not bendy, he's not this, that, and third. Listen, man, Will Anderson.
Watch the tape.
You know what I'm saying? Will Anderson, like from an immediate standpoint, especially because he's got D'Amico Ryans there, a former linebacker himself. He's going to be a dog. He's going to be a dog. And he's got all the intangibles. He's got all the playing intangibles as well. So, I mean, he may not be as bendy around the corner, but he can be like a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, a little bit of what like the Lions are going to use with Jack Campbell. He's just going to be a guy for them. And even if he doesn't end up being like an all-pro, a Hall of Famer, he's going to be like one of those guys where you remember, oh yeah, he was a good player. A couple Pro Bowls and be solid for them. So I think what the Texans did, Will Anderson was supposed to go in the top 5, so that makes sense. Stroud was supposed to go in the top 5, so that makes sense. I'm glad they didn't end up selling themselves and trying to get too cute like the Lions did. Trying to get too cute and move back. Just take your guy, and then if we want to get aggressive, then we'll make that move, come back, and get our guy. So I like what, in terms of the top 5, like Young, that's not. They was want to take a quarterback. That's an obvious pick.
Yeah,
Stroud
unquestioned.
going, that's an obvious pick. Anderson, we all heard he was going. And then Anthony Richardson, that was a little bit of surprise. And Devin Witherspoon going, that's a little bit of surprise. But for their situations, Witherspoon, I think, is in a really good situation. And then for Anthony Richardson, we'll have to wait and see because he's going to be also thrust in a position where he's going to probably have to start. No, they don't have no quarterback. This is the whole point. So
you don't like Gardner Minshew?
Yeah. Nobody like Gardner. Come on. Steichen is just trying because he's that. I mean, he got a connection with him, right? If he has to play, he'll play. But that's not the point. You took him at 4. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have. I think you may even been able to trade back unless somebody was really going to get aggressive and sell. But I think they could have probably held back and not put as much pressure because Anthony Richardson is going to have to start. Period. End of story. And I just don't see Steve Steichen as making like he's not a quarterback maker. So that's just me. But the top five guys are the top 5 guys, and Will Levis was not a top 5 guy. I'm sorry because they're like making news articles and whole pieces about how he fell in the draft, and they're like crying tears. And I'm like, he wasn't top 5. He wasn't the top 10.
No.
I was kind of surprised he wasn't like a top 15 player. I think like the Bucks could have been even top 20. I think he could have. Like, that was a little rude.
Bucks could have taken him. Commanders could have probably
Lamar
looked
Jackson
at it
won
too.
a Heisman and he waited till 32. Give me a break. Give me a break. Will Levis is okay. He can go in the second round, and he can wait. So that's my take.
That's good. Lawrence, I know you got most of your top 5 predictions right. Do you want to chime in really quick?
Oh man, I had it down to a T. The only thing I didn't talk about was that trade, but I mean, I kind of saw that coming, just playing out. Like I said, like Witherspoon, I think Seattle knows that like they needed a corner. Let's just go ahead and get the best one we can. So I saw Seattle doing that. I mean, it was pretty good. I don't see any problem with it because they knew they had a pick later on in the draft, so they knew they were going to get another piece that they needed later on. So let's just go fill up our biggest hole. I mean, they have to play the 49ers twice a year. You need a guy. You need another guy. You got one guy. Woolen can't do it by himself. You need another guy. So they got their other guy. Now, Debo's going to be all mad because he's going to switch sides and he get bottled up twice. Okay, Debo, you're going to have a hard time 2 times a year now. So take it like you can. Take it on the chin. They're gunning for you. They're young. They're gunning for you, Debo. I thought I knew Anthony Richardson was going to go to the Colts. I was just glad Carolina didn't touch him. I just thought at college he did way too much boneheaded. Like what the heck are you doing? Like he's definitely a project quarterback. In my opinion, he just did way too much. What are you doing? Head scratchers. So he's definitely gonna have to get a lot, and I mean a lot of work. But that's why you pick someone that early because they have the talent to, make it. But I think something that also people just stop talking about all the time is like just making the correct play, just doing the right thing. There's a reason why C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young went 1 and 2. They make the right play. Like they have good talent, but mentally they make the correct move almost every other play. Like Anthony Richardson does a lot of head scratchers for me. So unless you're going to give him to like a quarterback guru, which I guess they think they have, I'm also in your boat agreeing that I don't know if they really have it or not. Because we look at the track record, he's like, yeah, I did this. But you also did it with 2 good. The quarterbacks were already good before you got them. So like, what you say is one thing, but I mean, Jalen Hurts' work ethic was going to do it by himself. So he was going to do it himself. He went in the lab. And like we're talking about how Herbert's so awesome and so amazing. Herbert hasn't even won a playoff game yet. He ain't got a playoff win yet. So he's got a good, statistical in the season and doesn't get hurt and he plays through rib injuries, but he hasn't done anything yet. So like we're talking Herbert's up here and Brandon Staley's on the hot seat for the Chargers. Yeah. He's on the hot seat for a reason because get me to a playoff. I mean,
And he's a
the
defensive guy, and that defense is
well,
like
something I was thinking about was the fact that what was it? When they were gonna was it, I think they were playing the Raiders, and there was gonna be a tie, but Brandon Staley got way too, I guess, confident he could win the game, so he called a timeout and pissed off the Raiders, and they decided to go ahead and win the game and basically kicked them out of the playoffs. So I mean, he does a little dumb stuff every once in a while. I think you look at the tape for Will Anderson. Um, okay, you can say his senior stats dropped a little bit, but you look at the tape, like you say, look at the tape, he's getting double teamed, and his stats drop. But like,
Triple
okay,
team.
we're talking like it's not that much difference. Like, I get it, he had some great like freshman, sophomore, but like, come on, man, like he's getting double teamed, and his production is still better than you could ask, more than you can ask for, and especially out of Alabama. So they're playing SEC, and it's Alabama, so every team gives Alabama the hardest thing they can every single time.
and look at the tackles that went. Like he's going up against Wright, first round tackle. He
Yep.
went up against Jones, first round tackle. I mean, then he's got other monsters on the SEC lines like Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like South Carolina. Like you playing some dogs. So it's not like he's not playing against the guys he's going to see at the next level. And he does, like, from a tape standpoint, like he does have. He may not be as bendy, like getting around the corner. He can still turn the corner. He still has that shoulder dip. He still has moves like his rip, his bull rush, his spin. Like he's got the bag. Like he's not playing at Alabama because he's just a guy. That's not what they do. So
Yeah, who
yeah,
cares?
I don't
I
know.
mean, who cares about Bendy? Bendy guys get a little
Bendy.
hurt too often.
You know what I'm saying? Bendy. Like
Yeah,
what? You not
yeah, they
Yeah,
get
Bendy.
that's just some term
yeah
they
Make
just
some
make
stuff.
up.
Some shit
Yeah,
up.
those guys get hurt a little too often for me. I like a guy who's solid and always. I like consistency. I like a guy who's going to be there every single down, every single game. I need a guy like I don't have to worry about. Like that man has got my back.
yeah.
You know what you're getting in him. He's got your back.
They got nothing to worry about with Will Anderson. If he gets you double-digit sacks every single year, you have nothing to worry about. That's all you can ask for the kid. I mean, he has the talent. And to be fair, his last season, he was pretty much the focal point of the defense. So, of course, you're going to double and triple team him. And, of course, you're going to try to take him out the game. So, all these people that were kind of doubting his, talent level, or I guess like his ability to go top five is just dumb. Just look at the tape. The kid's good.
They're tweaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a good segment, boys. I like your ideas and thoughts on the draft. We'll see how the Lions season turns out. We'll see who was right and wrong here. So moving on, we'll start you guys off with the next segment, NBA playoffs. Let's get it. All right, boys. We're going to start the next segment here. All right. So we're going to do a round one recap of the NBA playoffs, and we're going to get some round two predictions. Like I'm a little girl here. She's going to hand it off to Markyll. Markyll, you're on the clock.
All right, boys. So let's just do a quick recap of the first round. We still have one series going on right now with the Warriors and Kings. They play Game 7 on Sunday. So that's the last series that we're waiting for it to wrap up here. But I guess let's start in the West. Let's go by seedings. So let's do the Denver versus Wolves, 1 versus the 8 seed. How do we feel about that matchup? Was it what we were expecting? Hand it off to Tevin.
Personally speaking, I'm actually surprised the Nuggets won a playoff series. So I think once now actually they got healthy, they were able to show us really what it is that this Denver Nuggets team is all about. Like they've earned their 1 seed. They've earned that they have an MVP, Joker. They've earned the right to be more hunted than what people I think really, I guess, wanted to give them the respect. They kind of earned it this season is my point. So
Yeah.
I don't think that even though the Timberwolves were young enough, hungry enough team to knock them off, like I was expecting them to make it more of a series because the Denver Nuggets just haven't performed these past 2, maybe 3, like, and even in the bubble, like they just haven't shown us what it is that makes you such a, I guess a tops team, an elite team in the West. So I did expect them to end up pulling that series off, but I expected it to be more harder than what it was. So I like the fact that they came out as the 1 seed. smacked you around, and told you to go home. That's what you're supposed to do. And especially when it's a younger team that could give you problems, that did have some veteran leadership, they could have gave you more problems. You took care of that. So I like it. I do like it, especially because he's working on bigs too. Like he had Gobert on him, and he had Karl Anthony Towns for what that's worth. He had to outplay some guys. Is my point. So your best player had to outplay players on the other team, the best players on the other team, and they, as a 1 seed, were a little bit more hunted. So yeah, I like what the Nuggets did. That's a good win.
I think it's
Lawrence.
good. I think it's good the Nuggets won it as quick as they did.
Yeah.
Keeps them fresh because they're going to play the Suns.
Yikes.
And I'm not going to really, go back on what you said. You said everything right. I think as long as they keep Jamal Murray in the correct state of mind, I just think sometimes Jamal Murray's he gets in his little zone and he just does dumb stuff. And you're just like, bro, come on. You're good. You're good. Just be good.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. He's a wild card, like you said. But I think it's good. They won the series really quick. I mean, they're going to play the Suns. Maybe I'll start this little part going. They're going to play the Suns in the next round. So I guess I'll start my prediction here. I mean, I was talking about this the entirety last episode and a few episodes ago with Markyll. The problem with the Suns is they're playing like 6 and 7 deep. Like that's all they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like KD's playing 40, 41 minutes in the first round against the Clippers, and they're struggling against the Clippers with no Kawhi and no George. You're struggling against the Clippers with no Kawhi and no George. You're letting Russell Westbrook torture you. What are you going to do when you play the Nuggets, who can go 9 deep if they really want to? They can go 9 deep. They're not gonna, but they can go 9 deep. They got Jokic, who's going to tear Ayton up. Like, Ayton doesn't like to go defend the three. Okay, Jokic is just going to start shooting threes all game. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Like, you're going to put Kevin Durant on him? I mean, there's a lot of mismatches here that the Nuggets can exploit because half their team doesn't like to play defense. I mean, Kevin Durant will play defense in the playoffs, but notoriously he doesn't really care to play defense, because he's a GOAT scorer. I don't need defense. I got other guys to do it. So let's be realistic here. As Jokic is going to be a freaking problem. I think another thing that we're also missing is like Michael Porter Jr. He didn't really have to do anything in that first round.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's going to have to step up, and Michael Porter Jr. can step up. So let's think about it. Michael Porter Jr. might make him cry because if you start letting Michael Porter Jr. torture, your, I guess, substitutes, because they only got 2 of them. What is it, Shamit? And I don't know who else they use a lot of. I think it's
it depends on
I think it's a Kogi. Yeah, I think it's a Kogi.
He starts. I think it just depends on whoever Monty feels like throwing out there.
I think they were starting. What's his name? Torrey Craig was the starter instead of Okogie. So they're running with Torrey Craig on the starting unit, I guess for defensive purposes. But I don't know. I just think I think the Nuggets have way too much, and the fact that like you said earlier, they handled the Timberwolves so well and easily. Let's be realistic. They should have won that game 4 if they came back like 12 points down. They should have sealed that deal. But I think they also learned from that game, like, oh, we can win those games because we proved that we could catch up and get back in it. So I think the Nuggets did everything right in that first round in order to prepare themselves for this Suns team. And you got to look at the Suns team. All other guys have been playing 40 minutes every night. And against the Clippers team, who they let Norman Powell go off for 41, I think. So you let Norman Powell go off for 41. Just think what Michael Porter we're also forgetting the fact that they have Aaron Gordon as well. They got a lot of weapons here. There's just a lot on the Nuggets team to have to handle, and you're going to be playing 40 minutes again. Like they didn't get any rest because the Nuggets finished the series so fast. I think there's just a lot to like about the Nuggets matchup.
Yeah, their versatility is going to be something that's actually a really good point because they have multiple people who can throw at KD, so that's big. And they're going to keep him having to exhaust his energy on the defensive end because all of them can at least give you a bucket at bare minimum. So if you got Gordon, if you got Porter, I think they're going to be the bigger the wing is going to win this series because it's a little bit of a wash at the big position. Like Jokic he's going to get his buckets. He's better, of course, than Ayton, but Ayton can when he feels like it, and I don't know when he feels like it, but when he feels like it, he's good enough to give you 10 and 10, 20 and something. So if he can show up enough, he can kind of wash the nights that Jokic is not scoring like 40 or 50 points. So I think it's really going to come down to who's at those moments at the wing, who's producing better. Like, is KD good enough to outlast Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, and whoever else they can throw at him? Or can the Nuggets just kind of like do what the Warriors do in that strength of numbers kind of situation?
You
So
also got to
that's a
remember
good take.
Nuggets got KCP waiting there to lock down whoever they want. So
Right.
Booker's
So
gonna have a long series.
CP3 is like, it's just a matter of time. Is it going to be an injury or is it going to be he going to sell? So I like Chris. Like he's going to run your offense just crazy. He's going in the Hall of Fame, but it's like, is Chris at this point still able to do these long playoff runs? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. And just going back to the Nuggets, as far as their series, I feel like against Timberwolves, I feel like they did their job. Got my prediction right. I said Nuggets in 5. Wolves didn't really pose much of a threat to them. They're young, they're hungry, but they've been through a lot of dysfunction throughout the season, as far as like just missing people through injuries or whatever the case might be. So it's good that they got the series over and done with fast, get a little bit of rest before they play the Suns. And then moving forward, sorry about that, but moving forward, let's kick it over to the Suns versus Clippers. I mean, the injury to Kawhi, I feel like it's a huge, huge blow. So I feel like even though the Suns kind of had trouble, I feel like losing Kawhi was just, the nail in the coffin. I was expecting the series to go 7. So it's good that the Suns got their work taken care of, got it done in 5. Got a little bit of rest for them as well. So it'll be good to see how they stack up against the Nuggets. I feel like, for me, the keys, some early predictions before we get into what we feel about the series. But I feel like the 2 keys to this series is going to be, can the Suns make consistently timely stops on defense? Because like you guys have been saying this whole time, the Nuggets got weapons. From Jokic, who's going to eat, MPG, Murray, Gordon can get you 20 on a night. And secondly, can the Suns get deeper? Like, can they consistently play like 7 or 8 players? Because you've already alluded to it, but running your guys 40 plus minutes a night, you're asking for injuries deeper into the playoffs if you can get deeper. So it's just a matter of time before you're going to cause injury to one of your older players, such as CP3. Even KD's up there in age, so you're just asking for injury by playing these guys 40 plus minutes. And I feel like it's a dangerous game to play, especially this early on in the playoffs. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting series.
I give the Suns this little bit of grace because, like we were talking about with the Hawks and their coaching situation in midseason, it's like because they got a superstar, Hall of Fame player in the middle of the season, you gotta play him, and then he got hurt, so you gotta play him. You gotta play your guys at this point because they don't. It's not like we had training camp. It's not like we had preseason. It's not like we had even most of the season. We gotta manufacture a championship team in like 30 games. You know what I mean? And that's tough. And then you're talking about these are playoff games now. Like, it's not no more regular season. We can catch somebody on a back-to-back. We're just better than them, so we just roll the ball out and let y'all figure it out. Now we're in the playoffs where it's win or go home. You only got 7 games at best. You really got 4 to be better than the other team. So we need to, at our best, see what it is that these guys can do and can't do while on the court together. And then it's just like the Heat. Like the Heat used to, when they had LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, they wasn't running that many people out there. It was like they let LeBron take a spell here. Dwayne Wade was probably getting the most rest because he was the oldest guy on the team. It was like one of the older guys on the team. It was like, yeah, we're not playing though like that many dudes. Like we'll bring Birdman off the bench for energy. We got Mario Chalmers. He's a starter. And then we got Norris Cole. Like we have some pieces. We got Ray Allen, or then we have Mike Miller. But at the end of it, it's like it's about LeBron. It's about D Wade. It's about Bosh. They're going to have to play, and that's just what it is. Like when you got top heavy teams, you got to play your guys. KD got to play. Devin Booker got to play, and Chris Paul. Those are the guys that are going to bring us to a championship anyway. So if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. And I feel like the Clippers were more motivated, like just strictly because Russell Westbrook, than the Nuggets will be. Like it, you don't have the same kind of motivation. You don't have the same kind of storylines. So the Nuggets just have to be like better than the Suns, and vice versa. The Suns don't have the same motivation to just stomp on your neck. So you have to be better. So it's like who wants the chip? I really think that series is going to come down to who just wants the chip, because I think the winner of that series is probably going to go to the finals and maybe win that joint.
Okay. Good stuff right there. Let's move on to the series that wrapped up last night. We got the Lakers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's get a quick recap of that series. How do you guys feel like Memphis fared against the Lakers? Let's start with Tevin.
If Memphis can not even just grow up, they need a wing. This league is still about the wing. It's still about having somebody else who's just got that dog. Jared Jackson Jr., Ja, they're good, but it's not like if you're going to have the big little combo, like you got to have Shaq and Kobe. You know what I'm saying? You got to have, to a lesser extent, you got to have like LeBron, Chris Bosh. You got to have D Wade and Shaq. You got to have this like really Hall of Fame kind of talent if you're going to do the big little, that kind of game. Even Jamal Murray and Joker. That's why if Jamal Murray can stay consistent, like that's what you can be. Like you can win if you have a dominant big in this league at any era, and you have a guard that's just as good. But if you don't have that, then you need to have a wing that can carry you. I don't know if at this point in time they have a wing that's going to be able to do that. And so they're heavily relying on Ja. Even when he's out, yeah, they're good enough to win, but they're not good enough because they don't have anybody as good on that wing to take the pressure off if you don't have Ja at playoff series, not regular season games, playoffs. So for me, I think the Grizzlies have to look at who they can acquire or draft that is going to be good enough to either make a stop, be like that solid 3-and-D guy, or borderline star player to add to that 5-man rotation. And then for the Lakers finally won a series that it was kind of like, yeah, the Lakers could win it, but they weren't like, like the way that their season went, they were struggling. They made the play-in. They basically just get into the playoffs. It's like you not expecting what the Lakers had to overcome for them to actually win that series. And for them to win the series, AD finally kind of shows a little bit of, you can give me the team, you can give me a little bit of the reins. LeBron is still doing LeBron things at almost 40. So at that point, like, it just kind of is it for the Lakers. Is like, when is it going to be like the Suns? Like, is it going to be another injury that stops them, or are they going to get in their own way by like AD not finishing? You know what I'm saying? Like Ayton not finishing. Like there's only like 4 or 5 bigs at this point in the league that can even match you. So you should be one of the better players on the court any night. You should be double doubles, almost triple doubles, period. Like there should be no excuses. That's why Shaq always eats on these guys, because like there's only a couple of dudes who take it that seriously, that you're the tallest dude on the court half the time, or you're the most talented dude on the court half the time. You gotta eat. You just got to. So for me, like, if Anthony Davis can keep playing like he wants a chip, and LeBron is still going to do LeBron things, and I think their bench and their team as a whole, they're getting Austin Reeves to do, like, he's kind of balling. Like, I'm
not kind of, he is.
Like, they found them a dude, like little white chocolate there. I like that. So like they needed another dude who can step in that role, like another like combo guard, like facilitator, but who can just make a play. He's a playmaker. At that point, he's a playmaker, and he brings them the kind of energy that they need, and takes the load off LeBron, which heavily needed. So for me, I think the Lakers, they're live in these playoffs. It depends on if they get the Warriors, if they get the Kings, whatever the case may be for them. I think they have a really good shot at knocking either of those teams off. So the Lakers should really be proud enough of themselves to polish off the Grizzlies, because that's not an easy out.
Yeah, I agree. Lawrence, quick thoughts of the Lakers-Memphis series?
Oh yeah, I'll give it a quick thought. We're moving here. I just think it was disappointing because the Grizzlies, half their team's gone. And Ja got hurt first game. Brandon Clark didn't play because he's out during the season. Steven Adams didn't play, out during the season. It's not even the Grizzlies team we saw all season in that playoff run. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just a little disappointing because they made it so far just to not have anything they went the whole season with. I'm surprised they even took it to Game 6. A part of me is disappointed in the Lakers that they even let them take it to 6.
Yeah.
You got Ja playing out there with a messed up hand. You're letting Desmond Bane cook you. I don't think anyone's giving Desmond Bane enough credit for what he was basically holding together on that team. But you're letting Desmond Bane cook you. And if you're going to let Desmond Bane cook you, you got to be looking at the Warriors-Kings matchup. You're just hoping that one of them is just exhausted coming into the series, because you're letting Desmond Bane cook you. Well, if you get the Kings, De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis and Malik Monk, they're going to cook you. If you get the Warriors, they got plenty of weapons. They got Clay, they got Curry, they got Poole off the bench. They'll cook you. So, you're going to let Bane go for all that. Basically, he was the only scorer some nights. You're going to let Bane do that to you. I'm not trying to hate on Bane or anything, but no one looks at Desmond Bane as all-star.
I think he's borderline all-star. I think that's pretty.
No, you're saying that borderline all-star. I'm talking all-star every year. No thoughts, all-star. No one thinks about that for Desmond Bane. So
that's hard in the West, though. It's a lot of guards. So
that's all I'll really say is I'm just a little disappointed because Grizzlies didn't even get to see the whole entire regular season team because they were just hurt.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was still a good series. Got another prediction right. I said Lakers in 6. I said it in the beginning a couple episodes ago. Lakers were just a deeper team in this series just because of injuries. I feel like the Lakers were deeper. The Lakers had the 2 best players on the floor at all times, LeBron and AD. Even though AD didn't show up for a couple of games, I feel like Lawrence said, they probably should have wrapped up in 5, but they let Desmond Bane and Ja cook them for 30 apiece. So could have got the series, wrapped up a little bit earlier, but, wrapping it up in last night, Game 6 was huge for the Lakers because Game 6 back in Memphis, I think, is pushing it for LeBron. They didn't want that smoke in Game 7. I feel like that's not the type of environment. And even if you do win, you have to go immediately right back Tuesday and play the winner of Golden State and the Kings. And that's just setting yourself up for a failure at that point because you're tired, didn't get enough rest. But now, you got a couple of days of rest before Tuesday to play whoever wins that series. So good win for the Lakers. They showed what they're capable of, and like Tevin said, they're very much alive in these playoffs. They have the talent, they have the defense. Been number 1 in defense post All-Star. So the team is arriving at the right time. So we will see. We will see next year. Let's start with the number 1 seed Bucks. Took a huge L. Just huge L to the number 8 seed Miami Heat, my Heatles. I guess I'll kick this one off. Being the resident Miami Heat fan here, was I expecting this? No, I was not, because we just give you a little backstory. Miami was just playing horrible, pretty much mediocre all season, and post All-Star break, there were some signs of some type of resurgence. 3-point shooting got a little bit better. defense kind of tightened up, but the Bucks were all around all season throughout their, even though they had a bunch of injuries, they were consistently the number one team in the NBA, not just the East.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, I'm thinking, okay, maybe we can steal a game or two, give them a little bit of trouble, take it to 6. But the Bucks were by far the superior team. I feel like you could ask anyone and they'll tell you that. So even though Giannis got hurt in game 1, and I think that's some people are looking at that as like an asterisk. But if you look at it, we were up double digits for most of game 1, even when he was playing. Yeah. So I don't want to say that we can use that as an excuse, because even when Giannis played in game 4 and 5, we still won. And Giannis played amazing in those games. Had a triple-double in game 4. I think he damn near had one in game 5. He had like 38, right? So I think Miami just outplayed them. Coach Bud has some questionable decisions that he made throughout the series. We'll talk, later next episode about his future with the Milwaukee Bucks. But Jimmy Butler played amazing. Has thus far been the best player in this playoffs. Had a wonderful 56-point game, game 4, come from behind win. That was incredible. But overall, I'm looking forward to next round. What do you guys? Let's start with Tevin. What are your thoughts about the Milwaukee and Miami series?
Jimmy Butler strikes again. You know what I'm saying? It's what he does. And I think for Miami, the best thing that happened for them is that they got a team that they were familiar with. They've been playing these same Bucks for the past like 3 seasons. They beat them in the bubble, albeit Giannis got hurt, and that's kind of like people are going to kind of use the same excuse on this one. Yeah. But last season they played the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. They played the Bucks again last season, so they've pretty much played this team.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago. So they've pretty much seen this team at least consistently the past 2 to 3 seasons in the playoffs, like when it matters. So you give a team that much time, especially in basketball, like there's only so many sets, there's only so many plays. Everybody runs the pick and roll. So after that, what is your sets? What are your half court sets? What are your actual plays? So once the Miami Heat, who've had the experience, you got Coach Bo on the sidelines, who has championship experience, just like Coach Bud, and has won his with top level superstars. And now he's like going to the playoffs, going to NBA finals with guys who are not top level superstars outside of Jimmy Butler. Like once I keep seeing you, I keep seeing your cards, I can tell what you're going to do and how you're going to get in and out of sets. I've seen you in the playoffs. I know what you're going to do and how some of your guys are going to respond. So, for that, the Heat, they earned their win. They've earned, like you said, like they've been mid all season. So it's like for them to earn this win and knock off on 1 seed, they can have the momentum to at least for their next series. Are they going to play the Sixers next series?
Knicks tomorrow.
See, like they're setting themselves up to be able to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, because like them against the Knicks, I feel like they should have a better time than, like, they're not playing against Giannis. You know what I mean? So if they can knock off the 1 and the best team or best player in maybe the league, at least in your conference, and Giannis, like you're live. You know what I'm saying? You're live. So I think Miami really should like take pride in this series win, and they're setting themselves up, like I said, to at least have to play, Embiid in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's my take on it. Now for the Bucks, it is disappointing. It's not a failure. I agree with Giannis on that part. Like there are failures in sports. There are teams that have failed. So that is the definition of failure. Like you did not accomplish a goal, you failed. You know what I'm saying, you didn't pass the grade, you failed. But is it disappointment because the Bucks are one of the better teams, have been an elite team for the past 4 or 5 seasons? It's like you didn't get to even the Eastern Conference Finals. You got knocked out by a team you are better than. So you are disappointing in that respect. But they didn't fail because at the end of the day, like the Bucks, at some point, it's like you have Giannis and Drew Holiday is good, but it's like you got Giannis, and he is the main point of why you're going to win a championship or why you're going to go back to another one.
Yeah,
So if it's like if Giannis don't have those kind of moments, them Jordan numbers, them Shaq kind of numbers, like what is the Bucks without Giannis being the best player on the court every time they step out and play a series? So for me, like the Bucks just got to keep adding to that roster, maybe get a little younger, add some again wing depth. You need like not Bobby Portis is good, but you need again like this is a league that is if you're going to use a big like we talked about, you got to have somebody either just as good at that guards position, or you got to have a wing. It's just that simple. Because now
agree.
you playing Giannis against Jimmy Butler, and it's like you create now a mismatch. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy Butler is at least a little. He can make Giannis have to work a little bit harder than he should. You know, even when Toronto beat the Bucks when they went to the championship, is because you got Kawhi who can strap you if you want to go onto the wing, and then if you're going to go down low, like you're kind of using it in the advantage because then they can build the wall and you're not going to do anything. So who else is going to beat you? And for the Bucks, they got to figure out if we believe in Drew Holiday, if we believe in Chris Middleton enough to beat you, then they have to consistently show up. If not, then we need to keep adding pieces to our championship team. So the Bucks, from even a coaching standpoint, like you said, making questionable decisions, is like, do we have enough to go back? Because that's all they're focused on. Like not having another disappointing season where a eighth seed, a team who just got into the playoffs, is beating us. So that's for the Bucks where they need to be focused on.
Agreed. Lawrence, what are your takeaways from the Heat Bucks series?
Just to keep us moving quick. I don't really. You guys already chimed on everything. I don't really have much more to add. I guess I'll kind of move it towards the Knicks and
Cavs.
Heat series. I don't really want to. I guess the recap. I'll just make it quick. I don't want to get more into that prediction of that series. I think I don't know the Bucks. I think they just need to figure out. They have a good rotation. Like you said, I think they just need to. I don't want to say depth, but like figure out what you're going to use it, what your depth pieces are going to be in the next season. I think you just need more like scoring. Essentially, you just need more guys to make plays off the bench. I mean, I think going forward with the Heat, I think the question now becomes how much is losing Hero going to mean to you now that you're going to be playing the Knicks? And that's what I'll get into right now is like, okay, so we got the Knicks, and yeah, we're on the hype train for the Heat right now, but we also got to remember that, like, the Knicks just like solidly handled
That is true.
the Cavs, and we thought the Cavs were going to be pretty good. Like we thought Cavs were going to make moves.
Yeah, no, they have a roster.
And the Knicks solidly. We're not talking about like it was a questionable. Now they solidly
like Game 7 2-point game. Like
they solidly beat the crap out of the Cavs. They solidly out rebounded the Cavs, who have 2 twin towers. Now we'll talk about that. What are you going to do with that going forward? Because you got 2 bigs down there who are getting beat up by 1 big. That there's something wrong here. You got to figure that out. So that doesn't work. Obviously, they in playoff format, that system they're running great for regular season. It did not work at all. You're asking your guards to do everything, and you got a team like the Knicks. They're totally down to shut down your guards. They don't have a problem with it. Just throw Josh Hart on them. Good luck. Josh Hart and he had a hurt ankle. And he's up in your face the whole time. Now you're letting Josh Hart get a little bit of time to rest. He's gonna be ready for the Heat again. I don't know. I like the Knicks' path to the playoffs. I just think that the Heat won against the Bucks and it gives them a lot of confidence. But now you're gonna get to that point of the Heat are losing players. Tyler Hero is not there to give you a good 20 points. Bam Adebayo is he's gonna get rebounds, but I mean Robinson and Randall are he's gonna have to consistently score some points to keep up with Randall. But we all know Randall's probably, well, I'm just gonna say probably. I don't want to say guarantees. He's probably gonna outscore Adebayo almost every game. He's gonna outscore Bam probably every game. Jalen Brunson's going to do his thing. Jalen Brunson in the playoffs is a whole different monster than the regular season. And then you got, I don't even know what you want to call RJ, but RJ's there. I mean, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't, but he's there.
A spark.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I think it sets up really well, especially whoever wins the series. Like, you got to be so excited because the 76ers, they had a quick run. The Celtics had such a hard time finishing off the Hawks. So the Celtics are a little gassed, a little bit probably more than the 76ers are. So the 76ers and the Celtics are going to go now, and they're going to beat the crap out of each other. And if you're the Heat or the Knicks, you got to be smiling going, yeah, beat the crap out of each other. Because I'm sitting here waiting for it. And I want the beat-up team, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you next. So, yeah, that's how I mean, I see it playing out. I kind of see I kind of want to say the Knicks are going to win the series. But I also think the Heat can very well win the series. I kind of think it all comes down to like the liability of like guys coming off the bench for the Heat, like a Duncan Robinson. Like, okay, he's gonna get me some points, but he's also gonna have to play some defense. Is he gonna play that defense? The Heat are also working with like I guess other guys like Gabe Vincent. Like, you're gonna have to do something for me. Like, you're gonna give me something. There's just certain things about the team, and I don't. You might be able to chime in better, but is Lowry still good? A little banged up. Like, Lowry's gonna have to come in there and get me some points because the Knicks are good enough to shut you down, which both these teams like to play defense and shut down. But field goal percentage wise, the Heat are looking different than they were in the regular season. But field goal percentage wise, the Knicks do a very good job at getting consistent points.
Yeah, I agree. Good wrap up for the Knicks series, Lawrence. Moving along, let's take a look very quickly at the Celtics and Hawks, which just ended a couple nights ago as well. I'll start first. I think, like you said, Lawrence, Celtics probably should have got it done in 5. Game 5. The Hawks didn't have Murray. Trae Young basically willed them to a win. So the Celtics, looking ahead, have a tough matchup in going against the Sixers with Embiid. Even though he's hurt, there's questions if he's going to play Game 1. They still have their work cut out for them because they still got a lot of depth in Philly. So it'll be interesting to see how that series goes. But as far as against the Hawks, I feel like the Celtics probably should have got it wrapped up sooner. But they still played well. The law firm, Brown and Tatum, just cooking the Hawks. I mean, both of them together are just two dynamic duo, and they can go against the best. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes next round. Tevin?
Yeah, I agree. Real quick for the Cleveland Cavaliers, like you said, Law, like they're going to have to figure that out because they had a better roster. They should have beaten the Knicks, or at least pushed it to like a 7-game series. They shouldn't have gotten bounced like they did. So that they're going to have to figure that out in the offseason. For the Celtics, yeah, they kind of should have. Even at full strength, they probably are still the better team than the Hawks. And I think that night, what was that, Game 5? I think Trae ended up winning that game for them.
Yeah.
I think that was a bigger blow than it's like led on to be. It's like, yeah, we finished the series off, but we shouldn't have lost. We shouldn't have lost that game to one guy, specifically one guy, because that's really all that it came down to. So for the Celtics, they're going to have to figure out because Embiid's better. Like, Embiid's going to be, in my opinion, the best player on the court when they match up. It's Embiid, and then it's Tatum, and then it's Brown. Well, I say it depends because sometimes it's Brown is better than Tatum. Sometimes Tatum's better than Brown. They play back and forth, but they have 2 of the better 3. But Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid is still the best in my opinion because size, like MVP talk, and he's a dog. Like he's a dog. So by himself, like he's carrying a team where it's like Tatum and Brown have themselves to kind of go back and forth on. He don't, Embiid don't really got that. So Even with Harden, like he don't really got that. So
Or Maxey, yeah.
exactly. And Tyrese Maxey is the dog. He's probably like the fourth best player in the series, in my opinion. So with all that said, and then you got Marcus Smart. With all that said, like the Celtics, they should have, bounced that off a little bit quicker for the Hawks. They like we had talked about off air, like they're going to have to figure out like what they're going to do, what their team's going to look like going forward. And I think you have the guards. Now either you get yourself a big or you get yourself a wing. That's what you have to do, like a star. You don't got to be like, he ain't got to cast Hall of Fame ballots. He don't got to be MVP dude, but a guy who can at least like garner some attention and help with the defense and the playmaking of Trae Young and Murray. For the Celtics to win that series against the Sixers, like of course it's going to come down to who can stop Embiid. If you're not going to, because you got Horford. Horford can give him go. Like that's been his Achilles heel as a guy, because Horford kind of has a game that's reminiscent of Embiid. He can stretch you out and play you on the perimeter, and he can take you down low and give you busy buckets.
And they were teammates at one point too.
And they were teammates. So he's got familiarity. He knows his moves. They've been in the same conference. They've had playoff series before. So it's like Butler. I don't know why, because Hemmington is coming. Hemi Butler is coming, bro. He's coming. But he like the Embiid's just going to, like I said, have to be the best player in the series, and Harden's just going to have to give him something, and Maxey is going to have to. He's really got the toughest matchup because he's got to deal with Marcus Smart and either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum coming at him. So it's like, can Maxey show up and be maybe the second to, or at least a top 5, like I said, player in this series?
Yeah.
That's really what it's going to come down to. Is Maxey ready to take that step and basically be better than Harden and be better than at any given night either Smart or Brown? So that's where that series is going to come down to for me. I'm not going to give, my prediction yet of like who's going to win it, but that's going to be a really good series. And the winner of that, I would caution to say who's going to stop, because those are the two better teams left in the tourney right now. So who's going to stop them from, going to the finals and meeting whoever from the West?
Good stuff, Lawrence. What's your take from the Celtics Hawks series, and then can you start with the Sixers versus, who did they play? They played the Nets. How would you recap that series?
That was a little disrespectful, Markyll. You don't remember who they were playing? That's what you think of the Nets?
I mean, it happened so long ago.
And the Nets, I mean, that's props that they even made it for real.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess to dabble real quick. Right now at the betting line, it has the 76ers at a plus 7.5. So they are predicting that Embiid does not start that first game. That's what the sports books are saying.
Come on.
If that's how it works out and Embiid doesn't play the first game, I'm pretty sure the game's going to go. They're probably going to go to Game 7 then. Because I think maybe Embiid comes back. I mean, I think it all comes down to the fact that if the 76ers go the first game without Embiid, and somehow by some miraculous fashion they win, that's going to be so telling. And I think something that we're not really speaking on is like that Jaylen Brown after the game talking about how they shouldn't have been in that position to lose Game 5. Right. They were up by 12. In my low-key opinion, he was throwing shade at Marcus Smart because the man was doing some dumb stuff. Yeah. But he's doing dumb stuff like Curry is. But
well, that's his MO. That's smart.
But he's not the level of Curry. He doesn't have 4 rings to do dumb stuff.
No.
So we give Curry slack for doing dumb stuff. We'll still call him out for doing the dumb stuff. But like Smart, you're good, but like you don't have the street cred to do dumb stuff and just be like, oh, dude, it's just Smart. He can do that. Yeah, no, you don't get to do that. Yeah. So you got to play smarter than you did. And if you want to be like there's certain we got to think about like Smart's going to take on Harden. Harden's not the scorer he once was. He's more of a facilitator now. So we're not going to put Smart on him. So we're going to put him on Maxey. Well, I don't know, because Maxey's I wouldn't want to say a little too quick for him, but Maxey's extremely quick. So I can't. I'm literally blanking on his name right now. Should have pulled up the roster and I didn't. But I'll quickly do it. Let's see. Um, who's the fourth man for the 76ers? Can't think of his name. Tobias Harris. There we go.
My cousin.
Are we gonna like how are we doing this? Like, is Smart gonna cover Harris and shut Harris out? Like, I having a guy like Marcus Smart is great, but then you get in these games like I want to say like a series like this one with the 76ers, like Marcus Smart, like who is his matchup? Like,
yeah,
because he doesn't really have a guy to just go out there and lock down. Like, there isn't one for him because he's not. And the best player is a big man, so he can't lock down the big man. I'm sorry, he can't. He's not going to go out there and lock down Embiid. No. He might give him a hard time, but he can't play 40 minutes locked down on Embiid. I think it's going to come down to a Game 7. To chime in on that Celtics, the Nets series, like, I mean, yeah, I think the Nets should have won. I think it was Game 3 at home in the first game. They really gave him a hard time. You know, that was one of those things like, oh man, I just don't want to get swept. I don't want to get swept. They couldn't pull it out. I mean, props to them. I mean, the whole team is built on Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns kind of bench guys. I can't think of his name now. The main guy.
Markyll Bridges and Cam Johnson.
Yeah. Cam Johnson came off the bench, so like you have the bench guy. Like that, those are the starters now. That was Phoenix's, some of their bench. But I mean, you couldn't. They cooked you. Like they were able to cook. They were able to eat. It's just they didn't have enough pieces on the team, which, given fair, they did kind of have to give away KD, and they did kind of have to give away Irving because they didn't want to play anymore. So you kind of have to look at it that way. Like, if you're the 76ers, yeah, you beat them in 4, but you only beat them really good in 3 of them, and you really let them, I guess, not show you up, but you really let yourself get shown out there a little bit. That if a team really tries hard enough on defense against you, you have problems. And if they can really go at Embiid, you kind of have problems. Yeah. I think the series, I think it all comes down to Harden. Is he going to keep doing James Harden things in the playoffs? I'd love to see the man get a ring. I think he deserves it. But if we pay attention to, I think it was 2 nights ago, James Harden was getting kicked out of a Vegas club.
You're too old for that, man.
So where's James Harden's head going into this series? Why are you in the middle of the playoff run getting kicked out of a Las Vegas bar? So
he about to get that Jalen Carter treatment. Like I said, like the Sixers, like they have it, but to your point, like it's just the same thing. Like with the Bucks, it's like outside of Embiid, what you got? Outside of Giannis, what you got? And can those guys consistently, show, oh, I'm him? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it is. I mean, the Nets made the playoffs.
And that's all you can ask for.
You made the playoffs.
All you can ask for after that.
Keep building. Don't go get no superstars, but just keep building. They need to be focused on the draft. They really do. They need to be focused on, can we get enough assets and develop them and stop doing this Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and I forgot the other guy, Joe Johnson that they had, that carnation, and then the Kevin Durant, Kyrie, James Harden. Like, stop wasting the talent that you need, because they're one of those teams that are in, like, they don't have the same allure that the Knicks have, like being in New York. So you're not like a main staple of the league. Like if you go to, Miami, all right, even if they're not like a main staple, like one of the, like Boston and LA, like you in Miami though. You feel me?
Yeah.
They don't have like that same feeling of like they're in New York too. You feel me? They're not getting that, that Knicks rap. So you need to develop and make guys not even want to come, but just make it where it's like, okay, they're kind of like the Heat in a way. We've drafted and developed these guys, and so now if you want to come, you're playing in a program that we can make you better. Because that's what even the superstars, they don't want to just go somewhere. They want to go somewhere they're not. It's been proven that coach can get the best out of just some guys. Now, if you can get the best out of them, you're going to get the best out of me. That's why
Mm-hmm.
LeBron went to Miami. That's why guys go certain places. So they need to be focused on that. Like, can we develop and then show guys we can bring the best out of you? Because KD was already polished. Kyrie was already polished. You didn't make them better. James Harden was already polished. You didn't make them better. If anything, you actually made them worse. So can you make people better? That's what the Nets need to be focused on.
I agree 100%. Since we're running a little short on time, we will save the predictions for our second round, the NBA playoff second round. We will save those for rapid fire. So just stay tuned for that. But coming up next, we have rapid fire. We will go over XFL playoffs that start actually today. We have one matchup today, one matchup tomorrow. And then at the end, we will give our second round predictions. So stay tuned.
All right, everyone. We're getting into the rapid fire here. We're gonna do a quick rundown of predictions. We're gonna hit on the Warriors Suns. Warriors Suns. We're gonna hit on the Warrior Kings, and we're gonna hit a little bit of the XFL. So get it all started. I'll start over here with the XFL. We'll hit on it real quick. You got the Houston Roughnecks versus the Arlington Renegades tonight at 7, and you got the DC Defenders, our local team, versus Seattle Sea Dragons tomorrow at 3. We'll be at the game. Any ideas what you think is going to happen? How I see it playing out over here, we got the sports spread up. We got the Houston Roughnecks as a 6.5 favorite to beat the crap out of the Arlington Renegades. Finish off the season, Houston beat the crap out of them 23-6. Arlington also is 1-5 in their last 5 games. 1-4 in their last 5 games. The only team they beat was Orlando, and Orlando has 1 whole win on the season. They're pretty not good at the moment. Let's just say that. So I'm going to assume, I'm just going to put it out here, Arlington's going to get their ass kicked. And then we're going to watch our hometown team, DC Defenders, whoop some ass tomorrow against Ben DiNucci.
Okay, some good predictions right there. I'll start with Houston. I'm right there with you, Lawrence. I think Houston gets a W. I mean, in the XFL South, I guess, the South Division or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Just call it the Texas Division.
Yeah, because that division is just trash. Half the teams are below, more than half, like 3 teams are below 500. So I think the Houston's a clear-cut favorite here. I'm taking them. And for the DC Defenders, the game that we're going to tomorrow, I'm taking them. DC has been very, very good this season, very impressive, especially at home. So I'm taking them against Seattle, which is also a very good team as well. But I feel like the home atmosphere, the home crowd will keep the team in the hunt for the championship in I guess 2 weeks, right? So that's what I got.
For me, I think the Defenders I think they should probably win the chip. Just from the statistical standpoint, like they're top 3 in pretty much everything, offensively and defensively. So that's a good recipe for any brand of football you play. So I got the Defenders, winning the chip. In terms of their opponent, you guys have said it, the Roughnecks, they should. But they're kind of, at least from my standpoint, like again, looking at statistically, the Renegades, they're not too far off in terms of statistic wise. Like they shouldn't get smacked around. So it really depends on, who shows up, and the Roughnecks already, showed that they can smack you around. So, I would caution to say that the Roughnecks are probably going to win that, and move on, but they'll get handed to them by the Defenders unless things just happen. But keep praying.
Agreed.
All right, so next we're gonna hit on the NBA playoffs real quick. Predictions. But we'll start off with Kings Warriors, since that's the only round 1 game still alive. Markyll, Kings Warriors. They lighten the beam.
Lawrence, I picked the Warriors to win the series, but I think they're lighting the beam, bro. I think the Warriors are just very, very terrible on the road. I think if they were going to win the series, they needed to do last night, and they got pretty much blown off their home floor. I feel like this whole season for them has been disappointing, but I feel like last night was like the nail in the coffin. I feel like the Warriors have a lot to think about, and there's still a chance that they could come up with their championship DNA and rise to the occasion and pull off the W. But I hate the flip, but I think they're gonna light the beam.
Light the beam.
I think for the Warriors, it's like they're gonna say we're champions. We've been in this situation, and all that's cool. But when you have a team like the Kings that they don't care about none of that, and they're trying to get their own, like you gotta respect it a little bit more than being like, well, we've been here, we've done that. So I think it's going to be a great matchup to finish off. I think we're going to get probably one of the better closeout games. I got the Warriors by a smidge. It really depends to me on halftime and who's up at fourth. If the Kings can, it's at Sacramento. It's in Sac.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're at home.
See, like I like that for them, but they're going to have to capitalize on this. Is like we have home court, so they go into halftime at least with a slight lead, and then going in a fourth, if you can like have again another like anywhere from 5 to maybe 7 or 10 point lead on the Warriors, and you just kind of got to close them out. I would like that. Don't give Curry, don't give Clay, especially Curry. Don't give him like an opportunity. Like if you're gonna close them, close them. So yeah, for me, like I got the Warriors by a smidge just because that's the until you beat the king, you're not the king. So no pun intended for the Kings. But at the end of the day, like until the Warriors are knocked off, like I'm not going to necessarily pick against them, but they're definitely on upset alert. Like they cannot play with these boys. If they want to knock them out, you're gonna have to knock them out.
Agreed. Lawrence?
Light the beam. I said Kings in 7. I'll stay with Kings in 7. So moving on. First series up here on the betting board. Suns Nuggets, or Phoenix Denver, whichever way you want to say it. Predictions on how long the series lasts. I'd probably give it Denver in 6, taking out Suns on their own home court.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Denver in 6 games. I feel like I think Denver will show why they're the number 1 team in the West for this season. They got the offensive firepower. The defense is coming around at the right time. In the playoffs, they've been playing pretty well on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like the Suns, like in the previous segment, the 2 question marks for me is, can they make timely and consistent defensive stops? And can they rely more on their bench scoring to keep them in games? Because KD, Booker, and CP3 can play 40+ minutes, but Denver can go 9 deep, and those 9 players are very, very good. So it's just gonna be between those 2 things, and I think the Nuggets have it.
I give the edge to, because in these moments it's like who's the best player on the court. Technically, by the resume of the past 2-3 seasons, it's been Joker, it's been Jokic, but it's KD. So it's like, like we talked about, can KD basically make it where, yeah, you got 2-3 guys who can come at me, but they're not better than me. So can KD basically like make up for what the Nuggets have in depth in terms of just by himself? Is he worth like 2-3 players? That's really what it comes down to. And then is Jokic really like going to just demolish Ayton and anybody else, because he's got that, and he's not necessarily like the rebounder, kind of defender dude, but he's superstar talent. So can he, with the Suns' deficiency at rebounding, with the Suns' deficiency on defense, can he kind of be a little bit more of a Swiss Army knife and give them something on the defense, make a couple stops, and be the best player? It comes down to who between him and KD, who's going to be the better player. I got the Suns in 7, maybe 6. But it, like I said, it really depends. Let me talk to me again in after game 2.
Okay.
After game 2, let me see. But I got, for right now, I'm gonna give it the Suns in 7 because of KD and Devin Book. Like, don't play D Book in these moments.
Okay, I like it. What's up next, Lawrence?
All right. According to the board, next one up, I want to talk about this one because we already chimed in on it. We got the Knicks and the Heat.
Everything,
Emmett.
Timothy.
everything got it
Um,
in 5, bro.
I would take definitely. I think it's definitely a 7-game series. I in terms of like what a lot of people are going to talk about. I think it's going to be a little bit of boring basketball because there's going to be a crap ton of defense played,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna be a bruiser.
everyone wants buckets. But I think this is going to be probably one of the better series because it's going to be these teams are like evenly matched, basically
Mhm.
perfectly to the T. I want to play defense and I want to get consistently good looks to make points. That's what both these teams do well at. So it's all going to come down to who has better defense and less injuries. And because of injuries, I'm going to take the Knicks in 7.
Okay. As the resident Heatle, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I got Heat in 6, possibly Heat in 5, depending on how Randall feels. Randall's questionable for game 1, his ankle.
Yeah, that ankle leaky.
Yeah, it didn't look good after, I think it was game 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He re-injured, and he's questionable. I think either Woj or Brian Windhorst the other day said that he would need significant progress to even play game 1. It's not looking good.
The heads got him talking. Oh,
So
yikes.
Lawrence, you're right. It's going to come down to injuries. We don't have Hero. The Miami doesn't have Hero. Of course, Vic is out for the season. He's not coming back. So can all role players, Gabe, Duncan, Lowry's coming off the bench, K Love, can they keep producing? That's the question mark here. But I feel like the Heat have caught fire at the right time. Jimmy Butler's playing amazing. Not arguably, he's been the best player in this playoffs. So it'll be up to, the combined efforts of Brunson. RJ's going to slow him down. When Quickly comes in, he's going to, slow him down a little bit. And then also, you got to look towards Bam. Bam's going to be the key to the series because he's going to have to bang against Mitchell, who's been playing, like, honestly, in the regular season, he was kind of, iffy, but I feel like he's, upped his production, has played very, very well against the Twin Towers of the Cavs. So it's up to Bam to, double-digit rebound, and we need some 20-point games out of Bam. He had a 20-point tripped up to close out the Bucks, but I just feel like Miami beat a vastly superior team in the Bucks. You can call it out whatever you want. Giannis was injured, yeah, but when Giannis played, we still won those games. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but I feel like in this series, due to the injuries, I think the Heat just have more experience and more firepower. So Heat in 6, at least.
Yeah, Markyll, I agree. Law, you're not wrong. Like the Knicks can win this series, and it is a toss up because they are evenly matched. And I have to go back to who's got the better player in the series. You got Hemi. Like that's what it is. So like whoever can out of the role players for both teams can Bronson get as much from his role players as Butler is going to get from his role players. It's really going to come down to that. Like not the superstars. It's going to be is Bam, is Randall if he plays, or Mitchell. He got the extension for a reason for moments like this. He's a big who can do what bigs should be doing. Give me a double double. Take the lobs, get the rebounds, help us get in our half court, be like one of the better guys on the court. So who's going to have the better series from those role players? Because Bronson and Butler, they're going to get buckets. It's going to be like no questions about that. So I got the Heat. It's going to be a 5-6 game matchup. Probably 6, depending on how the role players come out for the Knicks. And don't underestimate them because they can win this series. So if the Heat take them slight at any point in time, they're going to get knocked out. So Miami just got to be
Agree.
on kind of like, because they don't have enough either. Like the Eastern Conference, this is why people hate the East and always say it's weak, is because they play freaking defense. Whereas there's only like certain teams at times that play defense in the West. That's why they end up winning. Like the Warriors, they won championships because they can come out of the West and actually play defense. Like if you don't, the Grizzlies, they should have won something when they had that grit and grind and Zach Randolph, and all them. They should have won something because they could play defense. But the West is like it's mainly about scoring, and then can you get a stop? They just can you get a stop. In the East, you got teams like the Heat, you got teams like the Knicks, you got teams like the Bucks. They're going to play defense. Like their best players are defend. Well, outside of Bronson, he can play defense, but really like Giannis, Jimmy Butler, like they're built on defense. So
Yeah.
like can you get a stop? So the Heat, they should be on watch. This is not a light game. Yeah, the Bucks was the own like you beat them, but you're familiar with them. So like now you're not as familiar with this team, the Knicks team, and like these version of the Knicks, like winning playoff series Knicks. So be on watch. But I will agree with you. I got the Knicks. Or sorry, I got the Heat in 6, but the Knicks could win this in 6 themselves.
And then last we got Boston and Philly. We'll wait to chime in on the Lakers series once we figure out who they're playing. So last, Boston, Philly. You guys take it.
Go first, Tevin.
I got Embiid being able to close this joint, but it depends on his health. It's kind of funny to me because I don't know how banged up he is. That you've had the rest, so if he's that banged up, I'm off the Sixers. I'll take him now. Was subject to change if he does not play game 1. I need him to play game 1. They cannot just give the Celtics games like that. The Celtics just went to the championship. They were, a couple plays here, a couple plays there from actually winning the joint. Like the Sixers have known nothing but heartbreak, and like they're just the confidence level is just not the same. And especially if when Embiid's injured again, it's like that morale is going to bring down the whole team because Embiid is everything for them. So I'm gonna give it to an Embiid 76ers team in 7. If they do not have Embiid, the Celtics win this joint in 5.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go against you, Tevin. I feel like the Celtics gonna win this, and I'm gonna say 7, but I could see easily 6.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
I think the Celtics are just deeper. Mm-hmm. They come off of they tasted the finals last season,
right?
And like you said, they were close. They were close to winning. A couple plays here and there kept them from winning some games. So
turnovers.
I think Mazzulla has his team playing really well. Mm-hmm. They're more offensive minded this season compared to last season, where defense was their calling card. But I feel like the Celtics are deeper. Embiid's health is a big question mark, and that's the reason why I'm leaning towards Celtics right now. Because even if Embiid comes back, he's still going to be probably limited in his mobility, mm-hmm. what he can do on the defensive side of the ball when he rotates, goes to block shots, things of that nature. So I'm going with the law firm. I think Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, that dynamic duo, they're just going to put up numbers, and I don't think the Sixers have enough defenders. I mean, they have Tucker, and they have to, Tobias can play time with defense too, but I feel like those two can go against any two, of any team's best perimeter defenders and just cook them. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to have to go Celtics, man. Celtics in 7, at least. Celtics in 7.
Just real quick before I kick it to Law, like I agree with you that the Celtics, I feel like they know that they can win it this year because they don't have like the Warriors at full strength. And I think they know this season they can win this joint. So they've kind of been moving in that direction. Like we can win this championship if all we got to do is get there. And I don't think they're scared of the Suns or the Warriors or the Lakers, whoever comes out of that. So the Celtics definitely can win this series, especially if Embiid is not. It's just Embiid is just one of those factors to me that's like, if he can, not 70, 80%, like at a 90 to 100% at best, that is what it's going to take for Embiid. And if they do not get that, then there's nobody that can really stop the Celtics, in my opinion, until they get to the finals.
All right. To wrap it all up, after hearing both your cases, I'm probably going to roll with the Celtics in 6. It makes a lot of sense to me. I might go Celtics in 7. It's going to be 6 or 7 games. It's not going to be quicker than that. Even if Embiid doesn't play, Harden is going to pass the ball enough times to get Maxey open and Harris open. They'll at least win 2 games, no matter what. Either team that loses the series is going to get 2 games. I'll give them that. So I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 game series. I I'm just gonna roll with the fact that Embiid's always hurt. Embiid always lets us down sometimes when it matters the most in his injury career. You gotta take that into account, and since I'm gonna take that into account, I'm just gonna take Celtics and 6.
That's fair.
That's fair. Very fair.
All right, guys. Well, we had a great show today. I had fun hanging out with you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this show, and we'll see you next day or next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.